one. We should be live. Yeah, we are.
Fantastic. Okay, I'll just give it a minute or two just to connect. And what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to record it here.
Recording in progress.
So then we've just got two recordings, which is always good. All right, I think we are on.
We are.
Let's see if people are in. Cool, cool, cool. All right, I'm just checking out this. That's interesting.
What's up?
I can't access the live stream on my side unless I change my firewall.
Let me just check. Right click, open in incognito.
Is it going? Just to check. So, because I can't see.
It is going. I can see it.
Good.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's get it on. Cool. All right. So I think I'm going to kick it off. We are recording this, so at least if anyone misses it, it's quite late in certain parts of the world, maybe quite early as well. But we are going to record it, so the recording will be available after this. So I think let's just jump right into it. So yeah, guys, excited to be here, Chris Iron. I think that it's been an eventful September. We're almost at the end of the month. So there's a lot of cool things I think we can share. There's a lot of cool things that I'm really excited about. And just really looking forward to, seeing how the next, couple of weeks and months are going to be unfolding for us. I think there's been some big shifts, a lot of changes, but I think it's been good. And I'm really excited to share that with the community. So I think what I want to do is just sort of run through a welcome and introduction again to Liberty Finance. So just for those that are joining us for the first time or hearing about us for the first time, just want to give you an introduction to who Liberty Finance is, or LibFi. We'll then go through some of our tech updates and project updates. We'll talk about something that's really exciting in terms of an upcoming partnership. Also the launch of what we're terming our Monovaults. We'll talk about our Islamic financing as a service. We'll touch a bit on our roadmap, and we'll sort of address some of the concerns and comments that the community has sort of raised around that. And then we'll open it up to Q&A. So if anyone is online or in the Telegram or Discord, you can kind of just drop us questions while we're going through the update, and we'll address those questions and we'll look to those questions at the end of the call. So I think let me jump into it immediately and just sort of explain who is Liberty Finance and what are we about. Liberty Finance really is the world's first approved or Sharia-approved decentralized exchange. And I think what's important to sort of mention here and to sort of focus on is that we're not exclusive, but rather inclusive. When we looked at this environment and we looked at the potential market to work within the Islamic finance space, we understood that there was a large segment of people that are excluded from a lot of the really cool features and a lot of the really cool opportunities in DeFi because they're not able to actually partake in a lot of the services and solutions that are being built on blockchain. So for us, we're really creating Liberty Finance to be inclusive. We want to enable it so that everybody is able to utilize the solution and able to benefit from DeFi and benefit from really what the wonderful world of crypto is that we're also excited and passionate about. I think another key thing is we're building Liberty Finance as traders. The team really has been in the space for many, many years. Avid traders. I mean, Chris, you founded the dojo. You taught, hundreds and hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, technical analysis, risk management, but also been heavily involved in the space, since early 2015. And really, as traders, we sort of understand what the gaps are in DeFi and what the gaps are in decentralized finance when it comes to needing to actually utilize tools and tool sets to effectively trade. And a lot of that knowledge is being incorporated into the platform that we're building. For us, really, we just believe wholeheartedly that custody itself should never be given up for the sake of convenience. And I think this is the biggest problem we see on these exchanges, these central exchanges that exist out there, is because they are easier, because they have liquidity, or because they're fast, or because they have cool features like stop losses and limit orders. A lot of users actually give up their custody for that functionality. And we just believe that you shouldn't give up your custody. I mean, the whole purpose and the whole value behind decentralization is that self-control, is that no central entity has control over your future and over your finances. So really for us, the goal of Liberty Finance is really unlocking the future of financial freedom, making it accessible, to everybody, and making it an inclusive offering and solution. I think one of the important things to note is, when we look at the Islamic finance industry, I mean, Islamic finance accounts for a $3.7 trillion market in terms of total assets under management, and that's expected to grow to 5.5 trillion and beyond. And I think when we start to mirror proportions with traditional markets during the last cycle, we kind of look at the potential in terms of what the market cap, or let's say the total available market for us would be. We hit the region around 320 billion, and 3% of that would result in about a 9.6 billion serviceable market. And for us, that's great, and that's really a key sort of target metric that we're quite focused on. I think the other aspect to what we're creating and where we're starting to evolve is that existing Islamic financial institutions still rely on a lot of slow and inefficient technology to sort of facilitate their lending, or to facilitate their lending products and solutions. And one of the things that I'll be introducing to you guys today is IFAS, or Islamic Financing as a Service. And it's really our answer to speeding up and making available the blockchain technology to these institutions so that they're able to facilitate transactions faster and really compete at a sort of point-for-point level with traditional finances. But also, it also enables traditional finances that want to also offer Islamic financing services capability and accessibility into that with a very, very, very low sort of barrier to entry. And talking about barriers to entry, the problem we also see with the current sort of DEX market space, and by no means it's everyone. There's definitely some great projects that are doing things right, but for the most part, Web3 is very, very complicated. And in fact, when people really think they understand Web3, they don't. You get even people like Mark Cuban, who was recently just exploited and lost pretty much everything in his wallets. It's a complicated space, and there's a lot of fear and uncertainty around it. Our focus really with Liberty Finance is to create a really, really strong customer X or CX customer experience, as well as a really strong user experience, to sort of make that onboarding process for a Web2 user to Web3 as effortless and as easy as possible. And once again, we're kind of drawing on our own internal strengths to do that. In our Web2 world that we've done a lot of work in, and a lot of platforms that we've worked on, where we've attracted, numbers of users into our technology services. So I think just to talk a little bit more about what our DeFi solution actually entails, really it's made up of 3 pillars. The first being it's a decentralized trading exchange, but it's a trading exchange with advanced trading tools, things like portfolio management. And when we look at the Islamic finance component, it's portfolio management in terms of what's permissible and what's not permissible. It's been able to easily highlight and see which assets are halal and which assets are safe to invest in and which ones should be avoided. I think what's also really exciting about that is assets that are deemed permissible under the Islamic finance requirements go through rigorous due diligence and testing. So our Sharia team is doing a lot of that testing and a lot of that auditing, which is quite exciting, because even if you don't prescribe to Islamic finance, that those assets that have been audited by the team have a real product, are backed by a real team, and the chances of being run on those specific projects are far, far less than, for example, projects you find on DEX tools or projects you hear about on Telegram. It really just gives you that level of comfort to know that there's a bunch of eyes that are looking at this, making sure this is safe for the investors of the platform to actually utilize. And one of the other things that we'll be focusing quite heavily on in terms of the trading exchange is our own launchpad later on in our roadmap, where we can enable the launching of Islamic projects and other projects that solve real world problems and offer real world services to users. And that's really going to be one of our primary focuses. The next part of our solution really is a decentralized marketplace. We're really building some really attractive lending solutions. Our lending solutions within the DeFi space are specifically targeted at Islamic finance users. So some might put their hand up and go, wait a minute, you can't do lending in Islamic finance. You can't charge interest. We're very well aware of that. And we actually have created some amazingly sort of innovative solutions around how we're able to achieve lending in the DeFi space for all users, both in terms of being able to provide liquidity and earn yield, as well as be able to then use your collateral to gain access to liquidity. So we're really excited about that. We're really excited about what we're going to be offering within our marketplace space. And this whole DeFi sort of area that we've created has now opened up this whole B2B environment that we're focusing quite heavily on. But I'll get into more on that a little bit later. And I think maybe the last sort of pillar to our DeFi solution is education. Myself and Chris, many years in the education space, my Web 2 sort of focus has been EdTech. I built one of the largest learning platforms or EdTech platforms in Africa. I think we're going to hit 2 million users by, I would say, the end of this year, based on some of the new projects that are coming on board. And it's really exciting, to see how technology can enable education. So education for me personally is very close to my heart. It's something that I really love to see how, it can really empower people and give them sort of the strengths and the tools that they need to do better at the things that they really love doing. And when it comes to trading, I think education is really key. So for us, there's a big focus on consumer education. We are going to be deploying a whole online learning solution. We've dropped some sneak previews of some of the UX for that. And really think of it as a Udemy for trading, but specifically, targeted to our environment and really focused on teaching people how to trade effectively, how to manage risk, what margin is, how to sort of tackle things like security, how to tackle things like long-term investment, technical analysis, as well as all the rules and regulations around Islamic finance and informing, users on the do's and don'ts in that space. So we're really excited about our education sort of platform, and really excited about bringing this to market, because we believe that the more people are educated, the more they'll actually trade and utilize the platform. Our goal is not to, create a solution where people come in and just get wrecked. Our goal is to have people wanting to come back and really make use of our tool to advance their own sort of trading sort of careers and their own sort of trading approaches. And the other sort of focus is going to be around trading community and involving a lot of trading communities that we're close to into the offering, so that they can actually utilize it as a shared space for information sharing and for education sharing, but also for growing their own communities and growing the greater sort of ecosystem community of LibFi. So how did we kind of get to this point? And I think maybe just before I jump into a lot more of the updates, is just a quick little evolution on LibFi. We kicked off initially as a simple swap protocol for a chain called Gather Chain. There was a need at that specific point, but very quickly things changed last year when FTX saga happened. And we realized at that point that we almost needed to create an offering that would not risk users' funds and would not risk users' custody, and give them an opportunity or an option to do something different, where their funds would be safe. And we saw an opportunity for that. And really, we then embarked fully on a full DEX solution with all the centralized exchange features that currently exist. As we embarked on this journey, it really then, specifically in the regions that we operate out of, and specifically through the networks that we have, we saw then it made a lot of sense to make DeFi actually accessible to everyone. So not just to make it aligned with centralized exchanges, but actually make it accessible to everyone. We do a lot of work out of Dubai. That's where a lot of our team members are based. But even myself, based in Africa, there's a massive Islamic population in Africa and globally. And really, the bulk of DeFi is just excluded from these users. So for us, really, it just made sense to embark on creating the first sort of decentralized Islamic finance supported protocol. So we're not a token, we're not a chain, we're a full protocol that's really going to enable Islamic investors to invest in a bunch of different projects that have been vetted and that are permissible. And really then, this has led us then into sort of creating the development of what we call the first decentralized Islamic lending protocol. And this for us is really, really, really exciting. And I think it's one of those things that is really going to shape, the future of not just Islamic finance, but really the future of what we're doing, in the space and what people are going to start actually utilizing. So really, really excited about that. And that's really sort of the evolution of Liberty Finance. And really then recently we embarked then on a sort of idea to sort of spread our wings, and really focus on where we would get the most sort of penetration and the most exposure. And we went through a whole rigorous process of vetting different blockchains. But really, it's at this point that we've decided and made a decision to co-launch on Arbitrim. And, we're really excited about that as well. And really excited about, the potential and the possibility of putting our service and our solution in front of 600,000 sort of users. And more, and especially all the exciting innovation and stuff that's happening on Arbitrum at the moment. There's a lot of hype and there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of protocols on their chain, and we're really excited to be a part of that. And really then this has led to now building out what we call our real world TradeFi offering. And I think for us, the TradeFi component is really, really exciting because a lot of crypto protocols and a lot of crypto projects are closed ecosystem projects, meaning that they only service the ecosystem, they only work within the ecosystem itself. And when we've seen the bear market that we've gone through over the last year and a half, that's why we're seeing this sort of massive sort of drops in a lot of project prices and a lot of project sort of liquidity and TVLs, because there's no additional capital coming into their ecosystems. It's really just relying on the capital that's remaining in the overall crypto ecosystem. What our focus is in terms of bringing in traditional finance and offering traditional finance solutions to businesses and finances outside of crypto is enabling us to bring in additional liquidity, but it's also enabling us to provide a service using the technology that a lot of these TradeFi institutions won't necessarily have access to. So one of these sort of TradeFi solutions or B2B based solutions is what we're calling Islamic financing as a service. Really what it is in a nutshell, and there will definitely be a lot more data shared on this and a lot more information shared on this, but it allows LibFi through private chains or technology to facilitate what we call a deferred purchase or commodity-based lending for the Islamic market. Currently within the Islamic finance market, if you wanted to create what they call a Tawarruk borrow structure or Tawarruk itself, it requires a commodity to be bought and sold on behalf of the borrower. And that process is slow and it's inefficient and it's expensive. Really what we're offering now is the ability to do what typically takes 48 to 72 hours to achieve minutes. And we're really excited about that. I think really what's even more exciting is that our engine will allow for both sort of existing and traditional finances to tap into. It's a $2.7 trillion lending market at the moment. And using our bridge technology that we've built, we can then enable this liquidity that we're creating as a space then for our DeFi offering or our DeFi lending to also then be enabled and also to be permissible and accessible to all users. And this really then would lead us into our capability to enable what we call our trade boost or margin service, and kind of not only making LibFi the only DEX that all users can participate in, but it's a DEX with all the centralized exchange features that all users are going to be able to participate in. And I think that's really the crux of it, is that we are enabling everybody in the ecosystem, no matter what your requirement is, no matter what your belief is, no matter what your focus is, to come in and experience the full sort of offering and make use of the trading tools that are available. And, when you look at even things like margin, we did a masterclass at the end of August. And really, the whole key to margin is that if used correctly, if used efficiently and effectively, it's an amazing tool to boost your capability and to boost your gains and to really enable your trading to be far more successful. So we did a whole masterclass on that. We will talk a bit more about masterclasses a little bit later on. So just a bit of a tech project update in terms of where we're at and where things are going. So to date on our testnet, we've had over 110,000 transactions. And this is all tracked by our airdrop test participants. We would be opening, or we should be opening, another round of tester applications in the coming weeks. And that's just sort of based on some of the additional features we're launching into testnet that we're going to want people to test. And you'll have an opportunity to participate and earn airdrop rewards just for participating in the testnet and identifying bugs and letting us know what works well and giving us feedback and ideation. We have more than 2,000 members in our tester community. We're also launching our sort of new relayer sort of powered centralized features for testnet. I'm hoping in the next week. There's still a few little gremlins we're trying to sort of sort out. But if we launch it into testnet with a lot of bugs, we're going to get a lot of tickets. So we're really just trying to minimize the amount of bugs that we will get and really leave it for you guys, the testers, to really break the system and to really pick it apart. So that's really the focus there. One of the other exciting things that have recently happened is we joined forces with a global marketing giant. Once things are more settled, we'll be able to share a lot more details. But they're really one of the top marketing agencies in the world. And we're really, really excited about this because it means that we're going to take a lot of that knowledge that they're going to bring to us, a lot of the experience that they have into our marketing strategy, into our strategy to sort of grow our community and to really get penetration out there, to get exposure through the networks now that we're starting to build on Arbitrim and the likes. And I think maybe the last thing to sort of talk around is the Monovaults that are coming to LibFi. And I'll do a bit more on what the Monovaults are in a moment. So exciting news, as I've mentioned before, LibFi is coming to Arbitrim. We chose Arbitrim as our co-launch chain. I think really, we did a post around that, but it was a no-brainer for us. The chain is fast, it's efficient, it's got massive adoption and penetration. It's got one of the highest TVLs outside of Ethereum. It's inexpensive to run. They've got a very, very strong and committed development team behind them. And there's a lot of movement on their ecosystem. And that's really what a project needs. It needs exposure, it needs activity, it needs a space where we can really then broadcast to a large audience. So we're really excited about that. Currently building our bridge to support our bridge support for Arbitrim itself. And we're aiming to then launch Arbitrim testnet in the coming weeks. So everything we've kind of run at the moment on Gather Chain, we're busy now deploying that into Arbitrim. And you'll be able to then bridge into that and actually test out the solution on Arbitrim, which we're also very, very, very excited about. So another thing is look out. There will be a couple of Twitter spaces in the coming weeks with LibFi and the Arbitrim team. We'll be sort of going through a bunch of stuff. And so really excited about that. And you definitely keep your eyes open or your notifications on to hear about those spaces. So I've mentioned something called a Monovaults. Just quickly sort of what our Monovaults are. I think for us, the vision for LibFi is that we don't just want to create a project that's hyped and the value of the LibFi token sort of increases and then decreases, like a lot of projects do. We want to create value within the token itself, both for people that supported the project early, both for the founders, both for the advisors, for everyone that's involved in the project. Is how do we add value? And really, we believe we can do this by adding value beyond, simple sort of LPs, sort of pooling and those sort of things. And the idea is that the Monovaults will allow us to incentivize LibFi token adoption. And by creating these vaults, stakers will actually share in all the platform revenue that we generate. So that means all the revenue that we're going to be generating from our TradeFi operation, as well as all revenue that we'll be generating from our DeFi operation, will be shared with the vaults and will be shared with the Monovault stakers. And really, you'll be incentivized to hold LibFi and to acquire as much LibFi token as possible to really get the maximum benefit from being part of the ecosystem and being sort of part of what we are doing and how we're sort of changing the shape of finance, sort of together. The vaults will run in two phases. Phase one, the rewards will be in LibFi token. It will have a really strong compound ruling and capability. But phase two is really where it gets really exciting, is that you'll be able to stake LibFi and actually earn real yield paid back to you in stables. So now you've actually got an opportunity to generate real passive income, through our solution. And that also is something that's really, really exciting. I think the next thing to sort of mention is we sort of hinted at a partnership that we've entered into. We really wanted to share the details with you guys today, but there's just a few things that our partner wants to do, and they want to put out an official note next week. So Wednesday is when we'll actually announce our partnership, but it is with a very, very well-renowned accelerator. And we're super excited about this partnership because it really now is giving us accessibility into assistance with further fundraising. It's also then assistance with legal and compliance support. They've got a host of experience, and they've launched a number of startups in their space where they've helped them with these sort of things. It's also going to be working with our marketing team that we've engaged with and their marketing side to really then sort of drive our messaging through, as well as drive community engagement, and then also then working closely with them on our token launch and our public sales support. All things that they've got well versed in, lots of experience in. So really excited about that, and can't wait to sort of share those details with you next week. So also look out for that and be aligned. In terms of where we are from a roadmap perspective, we're aiming to launch our token and the Monovault still in 2023, and then have a platform launch in Q1 2024. I think for us, the biggest thing with launching the solution is that it's one thing to build it, but we also want to make sure it's fully audited. We want to make sure that what we put out to market, that our users' funds are going to be safe from day one. We don't want to be caught on the back foot with exploits that could have been solved through an audit. And in fact, there's an interesting saying that a friend of mine once told me, a guy called Mike, who was a Navy SEAL, and he said to me, Zen, fast is slow. And it was quite interesting when I heard this. It didn't really make sense to me, but that's exactly it. We don't want to rush into anything. We don't want to rush to market with our product, only to find out that there's a host of issues, and it kind of sets us back even longer. So really for us, the focus is to make sure that we've audited, to make sure that we've got a stable solution, to make sure that our users are going to get the best experience possible. But also then, in Q1 next year, we will be launching our B2B offering. And that's really when we will be offering, our whole service and solution to finances, through our private chain. But I think it's also very important to note, because a lot of people, are really excited to see us launch and really excited to really start participating, is that we always will prioritize market conditions. As we really are aiming for what we call an auspicious launch. We want to make sure that when we launch this, it's launched at the right time and it's geared to give us the most success possible. And I think it's really key for me and for the team, is that we don't just launch for the sake of launching, or we don't just launch because, okay, well, we said we were going to launch now, so let's just do it. Sometimes the market conditions are just not right for that. So we will gauge it and we will analyze it. And we'll make sure that when we do the launch, that everything is lined up for us. And I think at the back of our minds, we're really focusing and looking towards the halvening. We're looking towards the next cycle. We're looking to understand that we want to basically poise it and time it to a point where when we launch, we just go from strength to strength, and everyone that supports us just grows with us, and we all reap the benefit of it, sort of collectively and together. I think maybe the last sort of updates to sort of share with you is, we did our masterclass in August. It was, our most engaged, it's a community event that we've had to date. And we really had some sort of great topics that came through. I believe we shared a lot of good knowledge. We had some great participation. And in the vein of that, Chris is actually going to be running the next masterclass in October. So I want you guys to kind of look out for that. And specifically, it's going to be focused on security. Chris is, when it comes to security, he makes sure that we are secure, and then makes sure again, and then just make sure one more time, over and above that. So Chris is really strong on security, strong on hardening your environment, your wallets, your PCs, your mobile devices. And really, I think you don't want to miss this. There's probably a lot of things that you're going to learn in his class that you haven't even thought of, and stuff that you're probably doing that you shouldn't be doing. And really just protect yourself, from falling victim to things like scams and attacks and those sort of things. As always, our trend now with our masterclass is that we will give one attendee $500 for attending. So one lucky person would get that, and everyone that participates will be eligible for a $100 LibFi airdrop. So guys, when the link drops, there'll be limited space. Hit that link, sign up, register, so that you're on the list and that you can join the masterclass with us when we run that. Guys, that is our sort of community update, a bit about LibFi, a bit about where we're at, and a bit about where we're going. I'm going to now sort of push it open to Telegram and Discord and chat, and keen to see if there are any questions, comments that you'd like us to sort of talk to, and sort of open it up to the floor for a couple of minutes. And I can't really see the chats, so I'm going to have to rely on the other guys to see if there is anything coming through.
Yeah, I'm looking at all three right now, so if ever there's something there, I mean, traditionally people have been really shy. Don't know why we don't bite, but yeah, let me just check this out. I guess we'll give it a minute.
I think really it's like, if you don't want to ask the questions now, you're welcome to just drop us a post in our Telegram or Discord, or even on our Twitter, and we'll definitely answer that. But yeah, feel free to ask away.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't any questions. You were really, really thorough in this community call. It's a lot of information. People are probably just still digesting.
I mean, it could be that, but also I think Ian, you're right. There is a delay, so there's probably questions already being asked.
Yeah,
but
actually,
it's taking
there's
time
one in Telegram that's being typed out right now.
Yeah, I see that from Mohammed. Oh, the suspense.
Well, while he's typing out, I'll actually talk a little bit about the masterclass. I've been pulling back a lot on the content because I just realized that it's extremely large as for everything that I want to cover to make sure that it's thorough. So I'm going to start off with I guess the first chapter, which will be covering basic concepts, but in no way is it going to be completely comprehensive because I think it would take like 3.5 to 4 hours to do that. So I'm going to break it down into smaller bites. But the first one is still going to be, I've got 12 things I want to cover as topics, which is still kind of large for this type of presentation. But once I get those out of the way, I think I'll just schedule a few more after that. Oh, and Mohammed's already posted his question, so I'll let you read that out.
Okay. That's actually a very good question. So I think Mohammed is asking is that the Libix that was airdropped or set for airdrop for tested for user or testing on Gather, will there also be airdrop for Arb, and will we change the airdrop rules? So I think first and foremost, Mohammed, is to say that we are not dropping support for Gather. So everyone that's participated in the airdrop rewards through Gather, testing on the Gather testnet, are still going to be eligible. In terms of our token modeling, we set it up to have a fair amount of rewards available. We do believe that we'll need to incentivize the market, so there's definitely going to be some great rewards. We're also going to be chatting with the guys over at the Arbitrim Foundation around potential other rewards we can arrange for testing. So excited to see what's going to happen. So I think maybe to answer your question, really, we're not going to be cutting anybody short, as it were. So if you've participated to date, keep participating, and when we deploy on Arbitrim testnet, keep participating there. In fact, you'll probably be a better tester than all the new users that come onto that side, because you would have already experienced the system and you can compare and you can see if things are better and where there are issues that perhaps we've missed out on. Awesome. Any other questions coming through? I think Mohammed is happy with that answer.
Yeah, and there's nothing on YouTube or on Discord.
No, that's perfectly fine. I think really for us it was, let's share the update with you guys. We are really, really excited. I think that, from next week, once we announce the partnership, and we will start kicking into high gear with a lot more engagement. But for us, we are all builders at heart, and our focus really is about creating the best service and solution that we can. And that's what the focus really is. We're not about fluff and about, sort of talking for the sake of talking. We really want to speak to our community and speak to people really when we feel there's value to be added. But do expect it to ramp up. And I know a lot of people have been asking me about doing Twitter Spaces, so we're going to start pushing that quite a bit more. But guys, engage. If you're part of the Telegram community, just join it. Engage with the other members in the chat. Engage with us. Ask questions. We really like to engage. And we love sharing information, and we love just having open discussions. So feel free to connect with us. But I think at this point, I'm going to call it. So if there is any other questions or comments, feel free to drop them either on our Twitter or on our socials. And yeah, guys, appreciate you tuning in, for those that tuned in, and appreciate those for watching this, that watched this after the live event. And wishing you all a prosperous rest of September, and looking forward to the next call with you all.